Hi, I'm Andy O'Shea and welcome to APC's Guide to Becoming an Airline Pilot. Throughout this presentation, we will explore all the various pathways and training options to become a professional airline pilot. This will help you to decide which training pathway you're best suited to. The presentation will also provide tips on securing employment after training, as well as outlining the APC process and how it will benefit your pathway to becoming an airline pilot. In order to embark on becoming a professional airline pilot, it is very important you take certain steps. These will help to ensure you are suited to the career and will be successful in your training. First and foremost, it is vital that you get a taste for flying small aircraft. The majority of flying training will be conducted in light, single and multi-engine aircraft. Not all individuals enjoy flying in small aircraft. Therefore, it is crucial that most people considering flight training get some experience in light aircraft to ensure it is suited to them. APC has negotiated discounts with its partner ATOs to enable you to do this. The easiest way is by booking an introductory flying lesson at your local airfield or one of our partner ATOs. This will help you to decide if a pilot career and the training is really for you. It is also extremely important to undertake pilot-specific aptitude tests prior to embarking on flight training. Airline pilots must possess high cognitive capacity and certain personality traits. It is crucial that prospective flight training students learn whether they possess these traits prior to beginning their training. Otherwise, the investment might be at risk. An excellent option is the Aon Indicative Assessment, which you can find more about on the APC website. One of the most important steps in becoming an airline pilot is obtaining an initial Class 1 medical. This medical examination determines whether or not you are fit and healthy enough to fly professionally. While the majority of individuals have no issue with obtaining this certification, failing this step unfortunately means that you will not be able to become a professional pilot. It's highly recommended that you undergo this assessment before handing over money to a flight school. Class 1 medicals can be booked at your local aeromedical centre. Next, you need to find a quality flying school that you can trust. You should conduct extensive research into prospective flight schools or ATOs, approved training organisations. There is an abundance of certified ATOs that are willing and ready to train students. However, not all flight schools offer the same standard of flight training. Therefore, students should shortlist and visit various flight schools and pick the school that is the best fit for them. It's very important that you choose the right flying school, as you and your family are about to invest a large amount of time and money into your training. You can check out the flying schools that we recommend in APC and work with us on our website. The final step is to secure funding for your training. This can cost over €100,000 and is possibly the hardest step to take. A very common route to an airline pilot career is through an integrated professional pilot training program. This course takes students from 0 flight hours all the way to an airline transportation pilot license. This course is full-time and typically takes between 18 and 24 months to complete. All the flight training is conducted with a single flying school. This particular training route usually costs between €60,000 and €120,000, depending on the school you train with. Another very popular route to becoming an airline pilot is the Modular Professional Pilot Training Program. This program can be considered as a staged route into an airline pilot career. Students are required to complete all the same stages as in the integrated route, but can do so in a way that suits their own circumstances. This allows students to fund their training at a pace that suits their earning power and budget. Training can be conducted in one flying school or multiple flying schools, and training costs vary depending on flight schools, but are usually lower than integrated training programs. The first stage of a modular student must complete is the private pilot's license. This license allows pilots to fly in visual conditions for non-commercial purposes. Once this is completed, the student must complete a night rating to enable them to fly at night. Modular students must then build their total flying experience. Students cannot progress to the commercial aspect of their flight training until they have completed the required flight hours. Students must also complete the Theoretical Knowledge Training Program before progressing to commercial flight training. The ATPL Theory, as they're known, these consist of 14 subjects with a pass mark of 75% for each exam. Students can choose to complete their ATPL Theory before, after, or at the same time as their hour building. Once students have completed both their ATPL Theory and have the required number of hours, they are able to begin training for their commercial pilot's license. After this, students go on to complete a multi-engine rating as well as an instrument rating. The final stage of training consists of the APS MCC, which trains pilots to fly as part of a crew. We will discuss the APS MCC in more detail later on. Once the APS MCC is complete, students are issued with a frozen ATPL. MPL Training Programs. The multi-crew pilot license program is a relatively new option compared to the traditional ATPL. Whereas the majority of training in ATPL programs is conducted as single pilot operation in light aircraft, the MPL program places a larger emphasis on multi-crew training in simulators. This results in less single pilot operation training in light aircraft and more multi-crew training in simulators. MPL programs must be conducted in partnership with an airline. Therefore, students are unable to train independently of an airline the same way they can with a traditional ATPL. However, there are many benefits to undertaking the MPL. The increased focus on simulator training allows students to be introduced to airline-specific standard operating procedures much earlier than in traditional training. This is very beneficial to students when they undertake their type rating. Furthermore, upon completion of the program, students are offered employment with their partner airline. Therefore, students do not have to worry about securing employment when they qualify. Airline Cadetships are a fantastic way to become a commercial pilot. Certain airlines offer fully or partially sponsored courses to complete your training. These cadetships have conditional offers of employment upon completion of training. And as the airline has sponsored your training, you will be bonded to the airline for a fixed period, usually about 5 years. Therefore, cadetships reduce the burden upon students as both funding and employment is secured before training commences. However, as a result of this, competition for cadetships is very high and places are limited. Airlines sponsoring their cadets are taking major risks and therefore will only pick the very best candidates. Examples of airline cadet programs include Aer Lingus Future Pilot Program and the Air France Cadet Program. Another new and exciting way to become an airline pilot is through a university Bachelor of Science pathway. A university BSc will increase career opportunities for you as a pilot down the line if you opt to pursue a management role. The qualification is very useful to fall back on in case of downturns in the industry or if you encounter medical-related problems. Nowadays, many universities are offered pilot-specific degree programs. Such degree programs allow individuals to gain a BSc before commencing their flight training. Students on these programs undertake a mix of specialised aviation modules as well as general business management modules. In the final year of the program, students can then opt to begin their flight training. These programs provide students with a solid general management foundation alongside an aviation management specialisation. Other combinations of university and ATPL study and qualification can deliver a student both a BSc degree and an airline pilot transport license, based only on the theoretical and practical training of the ATPL course. This combination requires on-the-job experience, either as an airline pilot or a flight instructor. In recent years, airlines have developed their own mentored pilot training programs. These programs allow airlines to pre-select suitable candidates prior to the commencement of their pilot training. Candidates must undertake an assessment at their selected ATO, which is then reviewed by both the ATO and the airline. Successful students then embark on an integrated or MPL pilot training course. The training is self-funded by the student, however students are guaranteed an assessment upon qualification with the selected ATO. If successful, candidates will be offered further training and employment with the airline. Throughout the training, students are taught airline-specific SOPs, that's standard operating procedures, in order to prepare them for their assessment and future career with the airline they are tagged with. This means that from day one, students are taught how to fly an aircraft using the same procedures they will use in the airline. Mentored students also undertake an airline-specific MCC. We'll talk about that in a moment. This, alongside airline-specific SOPs throughout training, results in a very high pass rate at airline assessments. Finally, Pilots and personnel from the airline meet regularly with the students throughout the programme. This provides good support network and a link to the airline throughout the duration of the course. Now let's talk about a crucial part of your airline pilot training. The final stage of training for any airline pilot student is the Multi-Crew Cooperation Course, or MCC as it is referred to. Until your MCC, all of your practical training will have been conducted in a single pilot environment. This course is designed to teach you how to function in a crew, a multi-pilot crew, rather than as a solo pilot. The traditional course is known as MCC JOC, with the JOC standing for Jet Orientation Course. However, this combination is not the optimal way to undergo multi-crew training. Only 55% of candidates qualified using MCC JOC are successful at airline assessments. A newer version of this course has recently been designed and is known as the APS MCC, or Airline Pilot Standard MCC. This course is an enhanced and updated version of the MCC JOC. It is designed to train students to an airline pilot standard before they reach an airline pilot assessment. The course has already proved to be a major success, as 75% of candidates possessing an APS MCC certificate are successful at airline assessments. Therefore, it is important that students researching flight schools check whether a school is offering a basic MCC JOC or an enhanced APS MCC. We in the Airline Pilot Club would really encourage you to seek out an APS MCC certified ATO. Now let's talk about the crucial aspect of the whole process, which is securing that all-important first job. First of all, it is important to note that your medical and licence must be current when you apply for a job. These must be revalidated every year. As for any career, it is essential to make sure that your CV is strong, so you should get some advice on how to prepare a CV. Send it to as many airlines as possible. The airline selection process involves two steps usually, the interview and the simulator assessment. To help you be successful, do some practice interviews with somebody who is experienced in this area. In the interview, you will be asked some questions to confirm your technical knowledge. So make sure you prepare well and know the detail of what your current qualification requires. So this means that if you are flying, say, a Technic, you should know about that aircraft's flight controls, limitations and electrical systems, for example. You should also research the airline you are interviewing for, including their aircraft type, fleet numbers, and area of operation. In order to pass the simulator assessment, make sure you keep your flying skills sharp and get some practice in a good simulator similar to the one you will be assessed in. In both stages of the selection process, it is important to be confident and believe in your training. Also, remember that being in an airline pilot assessment in a simulator, you are assessed as a co-pilot and as a support to the flying pilot as well as in your own flying skills. So remember, part of the assessment is to be a really good co-pilot to your buddy or companion during the simulator assessment. We in APC think and hope that we are the perfect start to your airline pilot career. I want to finish up by telling you how we in the Airline Pilot Club can help you and your parents make the right decisions about your career. These icons that you see on the screen are like waypoints on your route to being an airline pilot. We will be with you at each crucial stage. Check out our videos in which Mentor Pilot, who is an APC founder, explains these stages and steps in much more detail. From me, good luck with your airline pilot career.